South Florida's vibrant real estate market faces a unique challenge that's become increasingly hard to ignore: flood risks. From Miami-Dade to Broward County, rising seas and new legislation are reshaping property values and influencing buyer decisions. Let's break down the fascinating and sometimes shocking ways that flood zones impact the market in this sun-drenched paradise. South Florida's flood zone breakdown. Flood zones in South Florida are meticulously classified by Federal Emergency Management Agency into various categories such as Zone X, AE, and VE, with each representing different levels of flood risk. Properties in Zone X are considered minimal risk, whereas those in AE and VE face higher flood risks, necessitating stringent building codes and often mandatory flood insurance. With the latest Federal Emergency Management Agency flood map update in July 2024, cities like Hollywood and Broward County saw an increase in properties designated within the special flood hazard area. This designation alone impacts thousands of property owners, as nearly 11,000 homes were newly categorized as high risk. This reclassification forces many homeowners to reassess their insurance coverage and consider flood mitigation efforts to protect their investment and manage insurance costs. Flood disclosure laws, unmasking flood history. Florida's new flood disclosure law, effective October 1, 2024, requires sellers to disclose any prior flood-related damages or insurance claims. This mandate, established under House Bill 1049, is part of a broader initiative to increase transparency in real estate transactions. Sellers must report claims or federal assistance received for flood damage, giving buyers a clear picture of potential recurring issues. Real estate professionals note that while this law is beneficial for buyers, it also creates challenges for sellers whose properties have experienced significant flooding. For buyers, this new law ensures a higher level of protection, helping them avoid unexpected flood damage repair costs. On the flip side, properties with a history of flooding could see lower demand, which might impact overall market values in flood-prone areas. The cost of insurance, flood zones versus wallet zones. The financial implications of being located in a flood zone extend beyond just property valuation. Insurance premiums also come into play. For South Florida properties, the cost of flood insurance can vary widely based on the designated flood zone. For example, in high-risk zones like AE, insurance premiums can reach up to $3,000 annually for a home valued at around $500,000. As the National Flood Insurance Program continues to adjust its rates to more accurately reflect the risk, premiums are expected to keep rising. This cost burden impacts overall housing affordability and may discourage buyers from considering high-risk flood zone properties altogether. For homeowners already in these zones, higher premiums compound the financial challenges of managing flood risks, often necessitating additional investments in flood mitigation. Zone AE, the price killer. Properties in Federal Emergency Management Agency Zone AE face significant challenges that directly impact property values, primarily due to the high flood risk and the costly requirements for floodproofing. Classified as a high-risk area, Zone AE has a minimum 1% annual chance of flooding, meaning property owners are not only obligated to purchase flood insurance, but also to adhere to strict building codes, including elevated foundations. This raises construction and maintenance costs substantially, making these properties less appealing to potential buyers. According to recent data, properties within high-risk flood zones like Zone AE may sell for up to 10–15% less than similar properties in lower-risk zones. This discount is largely driven by the additional financial burdens on prospective buyers, who must consider both the increased risk of flood damage and the high insurance premiums. For investors, this price drop underscores the financial impact of flood risk designations, and many are steering clear of Zone AE properties despite potential long-term appreciation if flood mitigation improves. The impact of FEMA's new flood maps. Knowledge is power. In July 2024, Federal Emergency Management Agency rolled out an updated series of flood maps for South Florida, bringing substantial changes for homeowners and investors. These maps are updated to incorporate the latest climate data, including projections for sea level rise and storm frequency. The result is an expanded special flood hazard area with more properties than ever classified within high-risk zones. Properties that were previously outside these areas may now be subject to building code requirements and mandatory flood insurance, creating unexpected costs for owners. For buyers, understanding these reclassifications is critical to making informed purchasing decisions, as properties within the newly expanded flood zones carry increased financial obligations. Familiarity with federal emergency management agencies. New designations can help prospective buyers better anticipate insurance needs and navigate the complexities of high-risk real estate in a region increasingly affected by climate-related risks. Resilience is key. Floodproofing and property values. In flood-prone areas, implementing floodproofing measures has proven effective in preserving property values and reducing flood insurance premiums. Features such as raised foundations, waterproofing, and sump pumps are now considered valuable assets that can make a property more appealing to potential buyers. Many buyers actively seek out properties with existing flood mitigation measures, as these features translate into potential savings on flood insurance and provide peace of mind. This trend has led to increased demand for homes equipped with resilience features, making them more competitive in the market. As flood risks continue to affect South Florida, floodproofing has become a vital strategy in sustaining property values amid rising risks. High and low risk zones, playing real estate poker. In South Florida's real estate market, properties in low risk zones are becoming hot commodities. Zone X, categorized as low risk, appeals to buyers looking to avoid the high costs associated with flood insurance. These properties are often priced higher, as buyers are willing to pay more to avoid potential flooding issues. Conversely, some investors are betting on properties in high-risk zones, viewing them as undervalued assets that could appreciate if infrastructure improvements reduce flood risks. This approach to real estate investment reflects a calculated risk, as future property values in high-risk areas could fluctuate significantly depending on the effectiveness of flood mitigation efforts at the local and state level. New buyer's checklist. Is your dream home in a flood zone? For 2024 home buyers in South Florida, flood risk has become as critical as traditional factors like location, price, and size when choosing a property. Given the recent expansions in Federal Emergency Management Agency flood zones, potential buyers are encouraged to thoroughly investigate a property's flood history, utilizing Federal Emergency Management Agency updated maps, available through resources like the Federal Emergency Management Agency Flood Map Service Center. Buyers can assess the likelihood of future flood risks. Additionally, insurance requirements should be reviewed early, as properties in high-risk zones can carry significant insurance premiums, sometimes over $3,000 annually, depending on specific zone classifications and property value. Furthermore, savvy buyers often seek properties equipped with flood mitigation features, such as raised foundations, sump pumps, or flood barriers. These elements help minimize flood damage, which can, in turn, reduce insurance premiums over time and enhance property appeal. Buyers are also advised to budget for potential floodproofing measures if these features aren't already in place, especially as future legislation could impose new compliance requirements on older structures. Community resilience initiatives, building for the future. Cities across South Florida have ramped up resilience initiatives to address rising sea levels and the increasing frequency of floods, aiming to preserve property values and protect residents. Miami, for example, has invested heavily in raising roads and enhancing drainage systems to better manage stormwater overflow. Fort Lauderdale has been reinforcing seawalls and implementing flood mitigation infrastructure as part of its Resilience 305 plan, designed to counteract coastal and tidal flooding impacts. The effectiveness of these projects is evident in high-risk areas, where property damage has been reduced following heavy rains due to improved stormwater management. Beyond physical infrastructure, South Florida's resilience initiatives include policy measures encouraging sustainable urban planning, mandating that new developments meet higher construction standards in high-risk zones. Programs like Miami-Dade's Living with Water focus on community engagement, educating property owners about flood preparedness, and promoting insurance awareness. These citywide efforts foster a sense of security among property investors and residents, making flood-prone areas more appealing by addressing flood risk proactively. Long-term, such resilience projects are essential to creating a stable and sustainable real estate environment in flood-affected regions. Market outlook. Is the Sunshine State prepared? The South Florida real estate market remains attractive, but with significant caveats due to flood risks. Despite new legislative protections and resilience projects, the financial impact of high-risk zones on property values and insurance premiums remains a deterrent for many potential buyers. However, ongoing community adaptation projects and flood-proofing measures provide hope for more stability in the long term. This balancing act between property appeal and flood risk underscores the need for adaptive planning and informed buying decisions. Ultimately, as flood zone reclassifications reshape market dynamics, Florida's ability to manage these challenges will define its real estate future. That's a wrap on today's deep dive into how flood zones are affecting property values in South Florida. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let us know in the comments your thoughts on these rising flood risks. And hey, we're bringing you more insights every week, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.